Hello, a very good morning. You are very welcome along to Ireland AM right here on Virgin Media 1.
You are indeed. The weekend is nearly here. Now, here is a question I'm sure you're asking everyone in your house. With the warm weather, are you going to be stripping off for it?
What do you mean?
Getting out, nudie in the sunshine, get all the bits suntan lotioned up.
Yeah? Well, that's what we want to know from you. Whether with this fine weather upon us,
Tommy Bone's going to be walking around in the nip. Is that what we're saying?
Would you be in favour of nude beaches in Ireland?
I've been to a couple. Accidentally. If you go to Kilkee...
Did you take part?
No, I didn't. I'd never be brave enough.
That's not the same.
I'd never be brave enough.
What do you reckon? Do you think because men walk around with their tops off, should women be able to do it?
There you go.
In the local park, let us know. 0896 111 111. We're going to be discussing that a little bit later on.
Yeah, there's that whole thing, Free the Nipple, isn't there, on Instagram? There you
sure
go.
Is, yeah.
And from naked sunbathing to the importance of oral health care, because you need those pearly whites shining.
I mean, to distract from everything else that's going on.
Dr. Ambrish will be here with advice in how to avoid bad breath and also to keep your teeth white.
If you are planning a trip to the flicks, we are going to be reviewing the weekend's new cinema releases.
Four things being released this weekend.
Such as the super sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's meant to be really good.
I love the first one. The sun looks like it's here to stay. But let's make sure, Derek, our oracle, it's all over to you. How are we going to do for the bank holiday?
We're all over it. Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, guys. We're welcome down here to Blessington in County Wicklow this morning. It's another dry and settled one out there today. Gorgeous, gorgeous sunshine. Now, a little bit cloudier in fact to parts of the west into northern areas as well, but we're talking valleys highs there of about 25, even 26 degrees out there. Extending wearing right across the June bank holiday weekend, so looking good for bloom. But guys, can we pan the camera across here? Take a look at these gorgeous opening shots. Blessington Lakes here in County Wicklow, and unfortunately, guys, no nude sunbathing. Tommy, you'll have to head to Lochmuckno and Monaghan for that.
You could maybe change that this morning,
I was just
Derek.
about to say, no better man to be the first.
Blessington could be getting a bit of a sight this morning. Looks like you're floating on the water, Derek.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Derek,
we'll see how it goes. It's
and
stunning,
big
isn't
news
it?
as
Gorgeous.
well this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Evelyn Cusack is stepping down.
Yes, Evelyn, you know what? I was only a young fella when Evelyn kicked off on air. I think she started her career back in 1981 in Met Éireann. I was 6 when she kicked off her career, so I've been following her career for the last couple of decades. A stellar career. She's a household name, really, and we wish her the very best of luck. She's great. I believe she's on this morning, is she?
Absolute hero. Oh, we'd love to get her on this morning.
I should have had her down here.
You should be. Maybe she'll join you down in Blessington until she sees what you're
Her
up to.
last day leaving Met Éireann, a bit of nude sunbathing on Blessington Lakes, exactly what Evelyn Cusack wants. And we do wish her all the best. Evelyn's been so good to us over the year, and absolutely magnificent career from her. Yeah,
absolutely. Now it is time to get the news, though, in the Virgin Media News Hub. Over to you, Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. Well, an investigation into the death of a young man is underway after he got into difficulty in the water in County Clare. Emergency services were called to the incident at Killaloo in Lough Derg yesterday evening, where his body was recovered. The US House has passed a bill to suspend the nation's debt limit until 2025. The Senate will now need to pass the bill before it can be sent on to the US President Joe Biden to be signed into law.
I've been thinking about this day before my vote for Speaker, because I knew the debt ceiling was coming. I wanted to make history. I wanted to do something no other Congress has done, that we would literally turn the ship, that for the first time in quite some time, we'd spend less than we spent the year before. Tonight, we all made history, because this is the biggest cut and savings this Congress has ever voted for. And it's not that we're just voting for it. This is going to be law.
A severe drought in Panama has forced authorities to introduce restrictions on shipping traffic due to falling water levels. Well, a state of environmental emergency has been issued due to the extended drought there.
Cracked earth and empty-looking waterways. The drying out of lakes near sections of the Panama Canal is now all too evident. The falling water levels are forcing those who operate the key global trade route to introduce a series of weight restrictions and fee hikes in order to lighten traffic. About 5% of annual maritime trade moves through the country's canal, which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. These measures are likely to result in delays and higher costs for goods shipped through it, an impact that may be felt by businesses and customers around the world. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine is expected to top the agenda when a major summit of EU leaders takes place in Moldova later today. Elsewhere, protests have been taking place outside the parliament in Norway, where a summit of NATO foreign ministers is due to be held later, with the war in Europe also top of the agenda.
This protest was against NATO's escalation in Ukraine. We are sharply against the Russian invasion, no doubt about that. We say that Russia should withdraw at any moment. They can withdraw now, and it's their responsibility that they've invaded Ukraine and inflicted so much pain on people in Ukraine and the consequences for the world. But we're also very worried about the escalation from NATO's side, and we're worried about NATO's growing tension against China, which can draw Norway into a direct conflict between the great powers, and it's not our wars.
And in business news this morning, Virgin Media, the parent company of Virgin Media Television, has announced the rollout of 2 gig full fibre broadband to homes and businesses across Ireland. Well, the broadband will be available to 345,000 homes and businesses across the country, including people in the towns of Tralee, Killarney and Letterkenny.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Thank you, Ger, and a very good morning. We're live here from beautiful Blessington. We're down here in the Garden County in Wicklow over the next couple of hours. First day of a brand new month, 1st of June this morning. So let's take an opening look at weather together now with Martin Rigney on cameras. And we had a beautiful sunrise earlier on here across the lake. And in fact, a really, really decent start out there this morning now. Plenty of sunshine on offer. A little bit of mist trailing around, but that sunshine will certainly burn it off now over the coming hour or so. And there's light to locally moderate easterly breezes. Now, right across the day, in fact, another cracker, especially this time through parts of the east. A little bit cloudier for a time through Connacht and into Ulster. Temperatures into the eastern half of the country, we're talking highs are 17 to 22 degrees. But once again, west has been best right across the week. Highs there of about 23, 24, even 25 degrees through Connacht and into parts of the Midwest with a high UV index once again out there today. So do stay safe. Right across then into tonight, mainly dry, calm and settled. Some patchy mist and some shallow fog once again to take us through into your Friday morning, and more sunshine on the cards. It's looking pretty smashing into tomorrow as well, with overnight lows back to 8 to 13 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here as the sun shines down on us in Blessington in County Wicklow. Gorgeous start out there. We'll be back again live at 7:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline: economy powers ahead, but emissions also rising. New CSO data indicates mounting pressure on the government to reduce emissions while wrestling with the consequences of continuing strong economic growth. This is in stark contrast with most EU countries that are reducing their carbon footprint.
The Examiner leads with coalition divided over law to protect nature. EU politicians have been accused of failing future generations after walking away from negotiations on the most comprehensive nature protection measures in 3 decades.
The Mirror goes with man killed in jet ski horror. A young man's body was recovered from a lake last night. The heatwave tragedy unfolded when he got into difficulty at Lochderg in Killaloo, County Clare. 2 girls who were with him managed to swim to safety after their jet ski flipped.
The Star leads with wiped out. A coroner has said an entire family was wiped out in a murder-suicide in Lixnaw, County Kerry back in 2021. The inquest found Mossy O'Sullivan unlawfully killed his long-term partner Eileen and their son Jamie before killing himself.
The Herald's front page, plate for a fool. The car involved in a high-speed pursuit on the M50 yesterday had been fitted with a copied Garda licence plate to taunt officers. 3 suspected members of the burglary gang remained in custody last night following their arrest in Tala.
And finally, FAI Cup deal clears 6.5 million Delaney sponsorship debt. Sources have revealed the FAI paid off 3.5 million of the debt owed towards sponsor Sports Direct last month, while obtaining a small write-down on the total amount owed. That's the front story on The Independent.
Now, coming up, you always hear of Italy and the sons staying with their mothers for years and years. Well, it appears that sons and daughters of Ireland are staying with their parents for years and years. This is according to a new report. You will not get rid of your adult children. So we'll be talking to News Talk's Andrea Gilligan. She's going to be joining us for a closer look at that story and lots more.
She sure will. See you back here in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back. Now joining us for a closer look at this morning's top stories is News Talk's Andrea Gilligan.
Andrea, good morning. Great to have you with us. Let's start off with a story that I suppose isn't really a huge surprise, but Ireland is seen a sharp increase in the amount of young people living at home with their parents.
Yeah, and like anecdotally, we're constantly hearing that. We had further confirmation even of that this week with the publication of the census figures. The number of single people in Ireland has increased from 2016 to last year to about 43%. And those stats are now borne out.
16 to 43%, did you say?
Sorry, from 41 to 43% in 2016 to 2022. Right. Yeah, so 43% of the population in Ireland are single, according to the census figures that we had out 2 days ago. And now what we have from this EU agency Eurofund report that's out this morning is that we've actually recorded one of the highest numbers of young people, and we describe young people in this report as being of 25 to 34 years of age. We've the largest increase in the number of young people who are back living at home, and they say in the report it's purely due to the lack of affordable accommodation, and we're constantly talking about that, and you guys here in the show about the struggles to help people purchase and buy homes. But what that means in reality is that, you know, over a decade ago, when most people or a lot of people in Ireland were probably getting on the property ladder and buying houses in that late 20, early 30 age group, that's now not the case. And we're not the only country in Europe, though, that's experiencing this. The likes of Denmark, Finland, Spain, Cyprus, Bulgaria as well. They're the other countries that were ranked at the moment in terms of the drop in home ownership, and quite specifically between that age group of 25 to 34. So, like, I know from talking to people, from listeners and viewers watching here this morning, like, so many adult parents have got so many parents have their adult children, they're obviously adults, have their adult kids living at home and well into that mid-30 age group.
Well, it's now your 39.4 is the average age of people buying their first home in Ireland. And as we've got seeing increasing people who are single, that's a direct correlation. If you're living with your parents, you're not really bringing anyone home, are you? You're not really kind of going outside, meeting someone, being like, "Come home." Oh, look, here's mum and dad on your first date.
The parents, do you know, like, I'm sure they love to have their kids in the house, but all of a sudden when they get to the 30s, they're kind of thinking,
get out.
And then the problem is as well is that actually if they're in a couple, and then you have to move in with the in-laws. Yeah. Like, living with the in-laws in your 30s can't be.
No, none of it is easy, and there's, I suppose, various different combinations of that, whether it be single people in their 30s, couples that are in their 30s living with parents or with in-laws. But, like, I suppose the reality, even of the figures that you've pointed out, at the average age of nearly 39 years of age for home ownership, like, you know, you're either paying higher mortgage repayments on the fact that you're taking out a shorter mortgage that you'll get from the banks. Or you have the reality of working well into your 70s. As by virtue of the fact that you have to pay back the mortgage. So like, there's a whole combination of things. I mean, the one thing I suppose that struck me from this morning is that, like, in as much as we talk about housing, and it's obviously a huge issue here at the moment, it's not just an issue for us in Ireland. Like, it is an issue for other countries. We're not the only European country who are struggling to have and provide affordable accommodation for young people. And I think what a lot of people are probably surprised at today is that when we talk about young, we're talking up to the mid-30s.
Yeah, that's what it is.
25 to 34, yeah.
It's very young. 0896 111 111, whether you're an adult who is living at home with your parents or you're a parent who has your adult children, you were like, you were meant to be gone. I gave you until you were 22. How is it? Or is it fantastic? Are you like the Brady Bunch? Is it like this is brilliant?
We had somebody on the show yesterday as well, is in with the in-laws with 2 children as well.
Right.
So can you imagine the chaos in that house as well? Listen, we'd love to hear
That's Tommy's way of telling his parents, I'm moving home to Monaghan. You're out for babysitting.
And they tell me, no, you're not. 0896 111 111. We would really love to hear from you on that one. Let's move on to this, a controversial one from Air New Zealand. So they're now going to look to weigh 10,000 of their customers.
So, I think people see this headline and you're like, oh, mother of Lord, am I going to be sitting at the departure gates and next thing there's a large screen and at the gate and Andrea Gilligan's name and weight appears on it,
And it's also, can you fit into this, this person size, the back holder?
Ranked in the top 10 on a screen or something. But no, everybody panic averted. That is not the case. First of all, it's a voluntary survey.
So they want to weigh passengers, but it's voluntary.
Yeah, it is voluntary. But also, aside from that, it is completely anonymous. So you will stand up on a scale. It will happen at the departure gate before you board the Air New Zealand.
Is there a big screen?
But there's no big screen.
Okay.
There is no figure.
Ding, ding.
There's no kg that's going to appear anywhere. Even the ground staff that will be, running the weighing or whatever you want to call it, that will do the weighing, they won't know. It'll just be stored in a database. And the reason for this, I suppose what's the interesting part of it is that it's actually a civil aviation authority requirement in New Zealand to do it, and it's purely based on safety.
New Zealand, everywhere.
To do this.
Every pilot has to know the average weight of what plane they're flying. So they kind of take an average for male and female.
Yeah, and that's what they do.
At the same time, you have to kind of keep with the times as well.
They need to know in terms of the luggage and the hold, the food that's going on board, and they do take, as you say, an average weight of passengers. But what Air New Zealand are trying to do is say, we want to be more specific about this for a number of reasons. One being sustainability and fuel efficiency, and the second being around it does affect the takeoff and landing. The pilots would actually, I suppose, that process that they do. So they're looking to make more informed, better decisions, advice, and they need this information to do that.
Can we see an airline who likes to rile people up and get headlines, and it always works for them?
They've done this before.
I just wonder, are they going to be like, well, we're going to start weighing people, and if you are over what we think is an average weight, every pound you've got to pay 50 cents. I just feel like some airline who likes trolling people might do this.
Well, that airline did say that they would fine overweight passengers. There you go. Yeah. So they're not. Air New Zealand are not going to do this.
No, they're not, and it is, they say, purely based on the fact. Yeah, it's a voluntary system.
Now, also, there is an airline I go on. It's got Ryanair, the completely different airline. But when you can't fit everything in, so you put on 75 outfits on you, so that you can walk in.
Absolutely,
it's about fuel efficiency and freight capacity.
Yeah,
so
and
we'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, it's just, I suppose, for people not to be panicked that you're going to be,
the anxiety,
worried about having to be weighed at the departure gates.
Let's move on to our final story. So, whatever about living at home with your parents into your 30s? What about your parents having a child in their 60s, or even Al Pacino in his 80s?
83 years of age. He is having his 4th kid. The Godfather actor he had his first child in his 50s. He had twins in his 60s that he said was extremely exhausting at the time when he had them. And now he's gone on to have his 4th child with his 29-year-old girlfriend at the age of 83.
29-year-old girlfriend.
My goodness.
I think there's for any man who's 83, you will find yourself a 29-year-old woman. It's got nothing to do with him being Al Pacino.
Is that fair on the child?
Is it fair on the child?
To have an 83-year-old father? Do you mean,
Oh my God, that's his missus, is it?
Oh, is that her there?
Oh, sweet Lord.
Listen, I suppose having Al Pacino as your dad's going to be pretty cool.
Well, he's not alone, sure. His co-star, Robert De Niro, announced, 2 months ago?
79.
79, his 7th child.
Yeah.
But the thing is that,
be more active
if he was to live to 100 or whatever else, that's your dad.
Good for heart health. Imagine you're living at home with your parents in your 30s, going into your 40s, and next thing they announce, we're having a baby.
Well, you definitely move out there.
Let us know what you think.
It's a way to get the children out.
Is 83 a bit too old to be having children? What do you think?
It's up to the men. You know, it's men. It's not an option for us. Definitely not. Andrea Gilligan, thank you so much for bringing us those stories this morning. We appreciate it. 0896 111 111. Still to come with all this fine weather. Would you be in favour of official nude beaches in Ireland? Because we all know that there are nude. We all know there are nude beaches. You've got someone in Donegal. Is it okay to for your neighbours to sunbathe nude in their garden? There's another one for you. We're going to be discussing it. You're looking out your back window. Oh God. Watch your minute. No, you're at home.
Well, with the gorgeous weather set to continue over the bank holiday weekend, many of us will be heading off to the beach.
What will we be doing at the beach, I wonder? Is public nudity something you want to see whilst you are there?
Yes. So this is what
we've decided. We've got no item. Tommy's spoken.
Is it okay to get nude in this day and age? We want you to get in touch. Let us know what you think. We are going to bring up the little QR code on the left-hand side there on the screen. Hold your camera over it to let us know what you think. Are you in favour of nude beaches in Ireland? And
sunbathing in parks, kind of a bit nudie, right?
Or in your back garden.
Bikini or whatever. Here to discuss the idea of sunbathing nude in Ireland is journalist Rebecca Horan and comedian Jim Elliott. Good morning. It is lovely to have you here. Rebecca's here going, nude? Oh God. Oh God. I'm assuming you're no. Everyone cover up.
Oh no.
Okay, what's going on? What do you think?
Go for it. No, I absolutely think we're such a nation of shamers and prudists. Like we have such a, it's intrinsically in us from our past and the church and how connected we were to that. And you go to a bathroom when you were growing up in Ireland, like a public bathroom, to get ready after the pool, and there was 4 towels and and jostling to get into the loo to have privacy. And you go to somewhere on the continent like France or Italy when you were a student and you realised nudity was not all that. Nobody cared and it wasn't sexualised. It was just girls getting changed into their knickers after a swim. And so I think that was really important. Travel was really important for me because the minute I got out there, I realised boobs on a beach or, you know, people being topless or nudist areas, like do what you want and what you will once you're not imposing, inflicting or causing harm to anyone. And they are just bodily parts. And since going on my journey through motherhood, I've just realised breastfeeding itself is just, I would have probably been prudish before I had babies. And I'm like, God, there's nothing sexual about this. It's literally feeding a child.
And is that one of the issues? Because, of course, there are two different things, Jim. You know, men go out as soon as the sun comes out in Ireland, the tops go off, T-shirt goes into the back pocket and off you go. And they're just nipples. Whereas for women, the mammary gland, it has been sexualised to the nth degree.
Always. And there's so many different, you know, I really commend, like you see Miley Cyrus and her Body and Flowers and this kind of revenge song, Lizzo beating on the stage, just getting it out. And there's something quite empowering about that. I'm not repulsed, I'm not upset, I'm not shocked, I'm not, oh, it's so sexual, my kids shouldn't. I just think we have such shame about our bodies. And there is also this whole conversation about body positivity and a movement of people just being a little bit more, because we're always either seeing in papers the cellulite being circled or something bad about a body, men and women actually, or we're seeing the other side where everyone's perfect. And it's like, and there are places, it's no longer illegal to be naked on a beach in Ireland. In 2014, the 1935 Act was changed to outlaw that, and you can now be nude.
As long as you're not causing offence. Jim, what do you think? Do you think you should be able to just, anyone be allowed to strip off in a park or...
This is an indication of just how nice the weather has been. You people have lost your minds. I can't believe we've been talking about this. You get 4 days of nice weather and now all of a sudden we're all a bunch of nudists. This reminds me of do you guys remember the summer of 2003 when it was a beautiful summer the entire time? The weather was so good that we decided we were all going to start listening to The Thrills. We have no business listening to California pop. That's not our music. What are we doing out here?
But can we do it naked?
I suppose so. I mean, I think it's fine. I think we should keep it on the beaches. Like we said, there's nothing against the law. It's not illegal. When you start bringing it off the beach, I think that is when it begins to be a little bit trickier. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a news story out of Germany about a month or two ago where a landlord who owned a tower that was residential blocks and office space on the ground couple of floors, the landlord himself used to sunbathe nude in the courtyard. And one of the firms that was renting some of the office space was so incensed by this that they just quit paying rent. They were like, absolutely not, we're not doing this anymore. The landlord took them to court and won. So the judge said that just because there's a naked guy in the courtyard, this does not have any impact on your office's ability to be.
But that's a good
the
question.
lunchtime meeting. I think it's so exciting.
What about, like, from that, like, if you own your own house and you're in your back garden, should you be allowed, even though you know people are able to look into your back garden, should you be allowed to just strip off?
Is this not back to Naked Ugly Guy or Naked Ugly? Remember in Friends where they would see them in the thing, they go naked. Like, is it not more comedy than upsetting? And if there's deviancy, predatory behaviour, if there's something perverse going on, which, sorry, I've worked in offices where you knew purposely somebody was doing something, and that's when it's not. That is sinister. That is not what we're talking about here. But if somebody wants to be in their garden naked,
but there have been instances like over when you're looking up this sort of stuff of people being very uncomfortable. Yeah, it was very
this
strange.
This is an uncomfortable
searching.
On the work laptop looking for this.
It's the sort of thing that I'd say Joe is just waiting later on today to be like, can someone sunbathe naked in their back garden and can the neighbour see it? And we'll have a chat about that. Because it is your private space, right?
Yes.
But when you're visually aware, there is an element of, is this person being exhibitionist? Are my kid listening out? And bodies are sexualised, Jim, right? Like, just the way it is.
I mean, some of them are. Tommy's is obviously the one I was thinking about. The guy's constantly in the news. Everybody's paying attention. Yes, bodies are sexualized, and that's an absolute shame. It is just a body, and we all have them. And you got to learn that no matter what your body looks like, they're all the range of bodies is very, very wide. But I'm thinking about the shame aspect specifically.
Yeah.
If we get rid of, I'm thinking about where is the next generation of Irish artists and writers going to come from if we eliminate shame? If we eliminate shame. It's intrinsic to our artistic expression, I think.
Our climate and culture have meant that we just haven't been free about our sexuality, which is obviously a problem. We're catching up with the rest of the world. Our bodies, and I think children, so much when I was growing up, you would see women in particular talking about their bodies in a really negative way. You would see people hiding. You would see everything was so... And I think that's really dangerous for particularly girls growing up, and it's the same for boys at the moment. I don't have this big issue with it. Like British Bay, Dogs Bay, there's another place down in Sligo. They're really open about nudist speeches. You don't have to rush down there. You can just separate yourselves as a family.
But they were always thought of, because I know, we'll say in the north part of Kilkee Beach in Clare, that was always, you know, the man's beach. That's where they went nude. Women weren't allowed. And that's, you know, it was definitely segregated.
Is it still like that?
It is not still like that. We invaded.
We
invaded. Because the women invaded. They certainly did. Even White Strand Beach in Dublin.
Yes.
It's so funny when you go to those beaches and you're like, oh God, there's nude people. And then after a while you're like, oh, grand.
Just don't lose your ham sandwich.
Yes.
You know, you just
have you been to a nude beach yourself?
Have I been to a nude beach?
And participated?
I have participated. I've gone topless in Europe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because everyone's topless in Europe.
But there's nothing, you don't feel strange about it on the continent. You feel so creepy about it here.
Yeah. First 5 minutes, you're kind of walking like this, and then all of a sudden you're just like, what is the problem?
I'm pretty sure my parents took me to a nudist beach when I was a kid, though. And it was a bit of an awkward situation for a kid.
What do you mean awkward? Because
you're kind of looking around at people's junk going on over there.
I also don't think people's junk, I don't think it's about men and women, particularly if they're older, coming towards a family that are sitting. I think it's about that separation, that protection, that just enjoy your day, have fun. If you're literally getting it on or you're doing something that's deviant, that is completely separate to what I'm saying. I was booking a trip this summer in a really special place, and one of the coves was nudist. But then I could see that there was also this public show. I was like, that's not going to put me off booking. But I went away with a friend last summer, and she was told, she was privately, you know, sunbathing in her little apartment. She was told by the chap, this is in Spain, to
cover up.
She was offending people. I was like, yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Have you ever had the opposite happen, where you go into like a sauna in Austria or somewhere and you are wearing a bathing suit? I got yelled at by an old lady who was like, those are not allowed in here.
She liked you.
Is that it?
Just like, look, I'll be all right.
I can never tell.
Your friend is fine.
Yeah.
Listen, Jim, you are producing a comedy roadshow called The Roast Battle, coming up on the 1st of June.
Yes, there's a roast battle tonight. If you're in Dublin and you're into insult comedy, it's 2 comedians on stage, and they have been writing jokes about each other all week. So they hit each other as hard as we can, then we throw it to a panel of judges to see who was funnier and who was meaner.
When one of them gets naked, it's going to be unbelievable.
You win.
It's going to be great.
And Rebecca Horan, of course, a Little Birdie Told Me podcast as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys
so much. Here we go. We're at, are we in favour of new beaches in
53%
Ireland?
say no.
But 46% say yes. So keep on going with that. And thank you so much. You can get in contact with us, 0896 111.
Send in your text.
111.
With your naked neighbours.
Don't do that. That's illegal.
Not a picture of them. Not a picture of them.
You can send us texts. There's lots more still to come in Ireland. We'll talk to you in a minute. No naked pictures, please. Please, no. Oh my God.
You're very welcome back. Now, joining us for some tips on flossing, brushing, and all things teeth, it is dentist Ambrish.
We're heading to the beach this weekend. You need to have the pearly whites out.
You need to. You sure do. Good morning to you, Roshan. How are you?
How are you, Ambrish? What's going on? Okay, so there's always this big... The people prefer the electric or the manual.
Yeah.
Which one's better?
Electric is always better.
Yeah.
You're not going to wash your dishes manually. Let's put it that way. I mean, a dishwasher is there for a reason.
For convenience.
Exactly.
Ambrish, come over to you. You'll be washing dishes with your hands in my gaff.
Well, I grew up washing dishes myself as well, but the reality of it is that an electric toothbrush is going to be so much easier, more convenient to use, a lot more effective to use than a manual toothbrush is. Also, the head of the Oral-B toothbrushes in particular are round and small, similar to what we use in our practices as a dentist, whereas the manual toothbrushes are a lot longer, narrower, and they kind of cover a bit too much.
One thing I've noticed about that, because I had one of these as well, is that the pressure. So normally you're there scrubbing away at it, but it tries to actually... It does the brushing for you, so you don't actually have to really scrub too hard.
I mean, at the end of the day, you do have the ability to overbrush, regardless of what toothbrush you use. Like even with the electric toothbrush, scrubbing too hard. So you put too much pressure on the teeth that can cause your gum to recede and also surfaces of your tooth to erode away. And that's where some of these newer electric toothbrushes are a lot more effective because they have pressure sensors inbuilt in the body itself. And it tells you. So it's a bit like a traffic light system where if you're brushing just enough pressure, it goes green. It tells you, yeah, you're doing a good job, keep going. And then the moment you kind of put the pressure a little bit too heavy on the toothbrush, it goes red, and then ease off the throttle, relax it a little bit.
Because receding gums is something that happens as you age anyway, is it?
Like not necessarily.
If you're treating it right.
If you treat it right, if you're looking after the health of your gums right, if you're brushing, an appropriate amount of pressure and stuff, then yeah, it shouldn't recede. So
how many times should we be brushing our teeth a day?
Twice a day.
Okay.
Morning and night.
So not after every meal?
No. It used to be said, and this is going back years ago, where they say, yeah, you have to brush after every meal, just get rid of all the food build-up that's there. But the reality of it is, in doing so, you can end up over-brushing your teeth, like we've talked about. But you're better off doing it first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening. And the benefit of doing it last thing in the evening is you're clearing all the food that you've had throughout the whole day, giving your mouth a nice, clean environment, and then you're going to bed with that nice, clean environment.
What about toothpaste then? Because you turn up at the supermarket, the amount, like you've charcoal and you've got sensitive teeth. Like
whitening toothpaste and all sorts.
Is there a go-to, or is it kind of depending on different teeth?
Depends on your needs. So the best thing to say, I would always advise, is go and see a dentist, speak to your professional, and they'll advise you on what you need for your set of teeth. There are obviously toothpaste that specifically target gum disease. There's toothpaste that specifically target excessive staining. So those whitening toothpaste removes extrinsic staining as opposed to whitening the natural tooth surface itself. Whereas you have the generic, generally speaking, a fluoride-based toothpaste. If you take anything away, a fluoride-based toothpaste, and most big brands will have fluoride within the toothpaste, and you can kind of look at the back of the packaging, and if you look out for a number 1450 parts per million, or ppm, that's the concentration of fluoride that's within toothpaste.
Okay, so
1450.
Thank you, well done.
And does the whitening work? Like, it is effective?
To remove staining, yes.
Okay.
So the colour of our teeth goes a bit yellower with time. So as we go older, it gets a little bit yellower. That doesn't reduce that discoloration. So things that stain your teeth, your red wine, black tea, coffee, curries, extrinsic staining sources, those toothpastes are fantastic for. Whereas intrinsic staining from your teeth basically getting denser with time, that's peroxide-based gels are going to be effective for those. And that needs to be supplied by your dental professional.
Right, because I do look at like movies from the 90s and you see people with nice normal like teeth colour that were slightly yellow, but now it's just not like that. Now it is these very, very, very white teeth, so they've all been whitened.
Enhanced, whether it's whitened or whether it's composite bonding placed or whether it's veneers placed, it's one of those. You know, it's a whole
plethora of things.
Yes.
The first time I ever saw dental floss was when I was watching Pretty Woman, and she had to get the strawberries out of her teeth, and then it took me a long time after that to actually
figure out how to use it.
To actually go, oh, we should all. It's not just an American crazy thing. It's every time I go to the dentist, they're like, "Can you just make sure? Can you just make sure?" Flossing or the little things that you put in between.
The interdental brushes,
Right.
Are the water blow? There's another one
water picks, exactly. So there's a huge.
We are so good on the actual terms. As you can tell, we're very into teeth.
That's why I'm here.
Well, it's an argument I have with my wife because I have one that squirts water between your teeth where
it's like a water
flosses.
jet almost.
Yeah. Are they both as effective, or is the stringy bit probably the best?
Here we go.
The floss is actually better. So the downside. So
Lucy wins.
The way flossing works is if you think about your tooth surface as having 5 different surfaces. You have your cheek side, your tongue side, the biting surface, and then you have 2 on either side of the teeth. So between your teeth, right?
Okay.
So if you're brushing your teeth only, you're only covering 60% of the surface of the teeth. There's 40% of the surface of the teeth between each other where you can't really clean with your toothbrush. So flossing is vital. Interdental cleaning is vital. Now, using a water pick, as they call it, or water jet, the problem with that is I generally like to use that after you brush your teeth. But when you do use your water pick after, you're washing away the fluoride that's supposed to do the good stuff. So you brush, floss between the teeth, and leave that soaking in your teeth.
I want to quickly just ask you, there is a big shortage of dentists in Ireland at the minute. It is a huge problem that people want to go and see the dentist. If people are kind of in need, have you any advice?
Emergency dental service is always available. If you need a dentist, we are available there for you to come and see us. The problem is routine dentistry, and I think there was a survey done recently that 1 in 6 dentists, or 1 in 6 patients are waiting over 3 months for a non-urgent dental appointment.
6 months,
And some can be over 6 months. And the reality of it is, I think we're moving, more and more people are aware that we need to be more proactive about dental care. And the reality is there is a shortage of dentists as well. So, I mean,
dentists are going into Botox as well, though.
Yeah, they're all doing fillers.
Aren't they?
There's a lot of facial aestheticians out there as well.
Because you can get into small things. Listen, thank you so much for that. Lucy has won the war. He's so competitive, so I think you're going to have to move to floss. Fair play to you. Dr. Ambrish, Roshan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Great to have you with us. Now, still to come this morning, we're going to get advice on how to handle nerves and anxiety ahead of next week's leaving
Even
cert
saying
exams.
it, we feel bad. Plus, from Spider-Man to The Boogeyman, we'll be reviewing the latest cinema releases. Talk to you shortly on Ireland AM.
Good morning. You're very welcome back to Thursday's Ireland AM.
Yes, it is the 1st of June, and on the way from sleep to stress, we get practical advice for students and their parents, and I'm sorry to say these words, ahead of the Leaving Cert exams, which start next week.
Don't stress. It's okay. You can do this. Later this hour, we're going to be previewing the newest movies swinging their way to the big screens near you, including the animated head-spinning Spider-Man sequel. Brian Lloyd is here. Brian, high hopes for the new Spider-Man?
Yeah, no, honestly, like the first one won the Oscar for Best Animated Film way back when, so this one probably could do just as well. Also going to be talking about the new Stephen King horror film, The Boogeyman, which is not great, to be honest. But yeah, Across the Spider-Verse, really, really good.
It's nice to have a good one because he had a bad week last week.
I did. I had a really, really bad week. I had a really bad week last week.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. Thank you. Always love to see you anyway. The moustache looks great.
I mean, he looks so cool.
What a distraction. Look at he's delighted.
No. It's like, anyway, we'll talk to him a little bit later on. Plus, I'm looking forward to this. One of the world's most celebrated hairstylists, Sam McKnight, he's going to be chatting, tending to the tresses of supermodels like Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell.
He cut Princess Diana's hair short.
Yes, he's the one who did that.
My.
The Baba Charles.
Wow. Okay, that's going to be really exciting. Chat to him. Now, Alberto Rossi is looking very summery this morning. He's got a seafood treat for us. Alberto.
We do indeed, Tommy and Maureen. We are doing lobster rolls for everybody.
We're doing it.
Oh, lobster rolls. Wow.
Absolutely. You know, summer comes through. This is a winner when you have friends and family over.
I don't think I've ever had one of these.
Well, hopefully I can live up to the expectations.
Yeah?
It's the sauce that comes with it as well.
It's the Mariro sauce. So we're going to show exactly how we do the whole lot. You know, the lobster and the lobster will be already done. And then we're going to put together all the sauce and show you how to cut the sandwiches nice and fancy and have a great salad.
Love how you made that clip. The lobster will be already done.
Done.
Okay.
It's done.
Looking forward to that, Alberto. Thank you.
Alberto.
No problem at all.
We can see the shirt. We're like clashing. Look at this. We've gone pure summer
Welcome
today.
to summer.
I'm very bored.
And let's see who else is soaking up the sunshine. Derek, he's in Blessington this morning. Good drying out there for the weekend?
Yeah. Buongiorno, Mueren and Tommy. It is a beautiful start here in Blessington. Guys, it is gorgeous down here this morning. A little bit cloudier to the west and into the north, but highs of about 19 to 24. And once again, west is best. Now, you know I'm a big fan of wildlife. And look what my cameraman, Martin, managed to get about 10 minutes or so ago. Roll the footage there, Roisin, because we had the beautiful 5 swans. They took off from the bridge, gave us this gorgeous aerial display in sync as they headed up to the end of the lake. Of course, the Blessington Greenway here as well, 5.8 kilometre loop, taking in Rusborough House too. So we've got the sunshine, we've got the wildlife. What more could you want? They don't call it the Garden County for nothing, guys.
It's gorgeous. Beautiful. Could well be Lake Garda for Alberto.
That's
over
for
there.
Alberto, yeah.
Thank you, Derek. That looks absolutely stunning out there. Enjoy the sunshine today, everybody.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, sure, we're fully immersed here in Mother Nature and all her glory. Down here, Blessington in County Wicklow. A bit of a stiff breeze coming off the lake at the moment, and elsewhere, slipping past 8 o'clock here this morning. Lots of you waking up to some really, really nice sunshine. First day of June, first day of a brand new month, and it is a gorgeous start out there for most areas. A little bit of mist still trailing around, but that'll certainly burn off with that sunshine now over the next hour or so. Now, right across today, those light to locally moderate easterly breezes in the driving seat. Take a look at the map because it will cloud up ever so slightly through Connacht and into Ulster. Not as much sunshine as we've seen there over the last couple of days, but elsewhere those June rays waning out through the Midlands into eastern and southern sections. A little bit cooler once again through the eastern half of the country. We're talking highs there of 17 to 20 degrees, but as we work our way through central and western areas, once again west is best. Some really nice temps out there today. We're talking highs of 23, 24, even 25 degrees out there for the 1st of June. High risk of sunburn as well because the UV index is quite high, so get the sunscreen on and do stay safe. Now right across into tonight, mainly dry, calm and settle, some patchy mist and again some shallow fog feeding its way into your Friday morning, but looking good for Bloom as it kickstarts well today in fact, but into tomorrow as well, with overnight lows back to 9 to 13 degrees through parts of the southwest. So that's how it's shaping up for now in County Wicklow. We'll be back again live at 8:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline: Economy powers ahead, but emissions also rising. New CSO data indicates mounting pressure on the government to reduce emissions while wrestling with the consequences of continuing strong economic growth. This is in contrast with most EU countries that are reducing their carbon footprint.
The Examiner leads with coalition divided over law to protect nature. EU politicians have been accused of failing future generations after walking away from negotiations on the most comprehensive nature protection measures in 3 decades.
The Mirror's front page: man killed in jet ski horror. A young man's body was recovered from a lake last night. The heatwave tragedy unfolded when he got into difficulty at Lough Derg in Killaloe, County Clare. 2 girls who were with him managed to swim to safety after the jet ski flipped.
The Star leads with wiped out. A coroner has said an entire family was wiped out in a murder-suicide near Lixnaw, County Kerry back in 2021. The inquest found Mossy O'Sullivan unlawfully killed his long-term partner Eileen and their son Jamie before killing himself.
The Herald goes with plate for a fool. The car involved in a high-speed pursuit on the M50 in Dublin yesterday had been fitted with a copied Garda licence plate to taunt the officers. The 3 suspected members of a burglary gang, they remained in custody last night following their arrest in Tala.
And finally, FAI Cup deal clears €6.5 million Delaney sponsorship debt. Sources revealed the FAI paid off €3.5 million of the debt owed towards sponsor Sports Direct last month, while obtaining a small write-down on the total amount owed. And that's the front page of the Irish Independent.
A lot of money there. Now, we were talking earlier on during making the news about Ireland being among EU countries with the biggest increase in young adults who are living with their parents. And there is a lot of people viewing who are in that situation right now.
We asked you, send us in your text messages. Are you still living with your parents, or have you still got the kids living with you? And we've got a couple in. Jackie has said, I have 4 children still living at home, aged between 37 to 25. Plus 2 boyfriends and 4 grandchildren. No sign of them getting housed anytime soon. Jackie.
You're doing more than the Lord's work.
Fair play to you.
The partners being there as well. You can hardly split up a family.
And if they're all sitting watching the telly this morning, Jackie, we won't give your surname, but you know who you are.
Can you go away for the long weekend, lads? Any chance? Pauline says, I'm a 47-year-old married woman of 4 children. I have a 30-year-old, 26-year-old, 22-year-old and a 15-year-old, all living with me and my husband. We both work. The husband is a construction worker and I work in healthcare. By the time we get home, we are both exhausted, but we can't get 5 minutes peace with them living with us. But there is nowhere for them to go. Thank God we don't have grandkids, or myself and the husband would leave Ireland completely, as we just wouldn't be able. I'm 47 and I feel like I'm going on 77 with them.
Fair
like
play.
whatever about the 15-year-olds.
I know.
Or the 22-year-old.
But with Jackie with the 37-year-old, Paul. But listen, that's the sign of the times that we're in, unfortunately, now. And to be fair to that survey, Ireland is not the only country. There are other countries in a similar situation.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the other mega poll result that we did. So we were talking about nude beaches in Ireland, or even going nude. Should we be allowed to strip off and bare all? So would you be in favour of nude beaches in Ireland? No is 53%. Still pretty tight, to be fair. 47% obviously saying yes. Aisling said if beaches were all made exclusively nudists, then no way. We need all our swimming spots. I might be a bit prudish, but I would not enjoy being surrounded by nudists.
Yeah, and I suppose in Ireland we do have areas of beaches where people go nude, and then on the continent it would be sort of a laissez-faire attitude.
What's wrong with just sunbathing topless? Like, do you know what I mean? Should Ireland...
There's nothing wrong. I'm getting private messages on my DMs going, wouldn't mind seeing Tommy nude. You know, girls, keep it in your...
I'll be at the beach this weekend.
You will be at the beach. But you see, I suppose it's different you going topless.
Well, that's
than me going topless.
What's wrong with you going topless? Though? I know. I mean, they do it in France. They do it all over Europe.
But how would you feel about,
doing it in the local park?
You bearing your private parts?
Well, that's the different level. So nude. What do we reckon?
But that's where the areas of beaches are, around Ireland. There are the nude beaches.
And you got to take precautions. Unlike John here, he said, I have no problem with nudity. However, I went to a nude beach many years ago, but I got burnt in the wrong place and it was very painful.
An actual gasp from Pete behind the camera there. Are you okay, Pete? Get out the sunscreen, guys, no matter where you are.
Keep those texts coming in. Do you have still kids living at home with you, or do you love to go sunbathing nude? We want to hear from you. 0896 111 111.
The two do not go hand in hand.
The sunny leaving cert weather is here to stay, and we're thinking of those 6th-year students who are stuck with their head in the books.
Yeah, the junior certs as well. After the break, we're going to have advice for exam success. We can do it. Talk to you shortly.
Good morning, you're very welcome back. Now, we're all looking forward to the long weekend. We sure are. Yes, we are. But for a certain portion of the population, stress levels are pretty damn high at the minute as we count down to the start of the junior and the leaving cert.
Yeah, like you always feel so bad, don't you, when the weather is this nice?
I do not.
No, you don't. Okay, because you went through it.
There.
You've been there. Okay. Psychologist Dr. Logan, Buckley, and Physiologist Motty Varghese join us now with some practical advice for students and their parents for getting through these exams. I mean, this rolls around every single year. Tommy's like, I've done it, everyone can do it, it's fine. It's a little bit heartbreaking. Everyone gets very stressed, Tara. So what can people be doing now to ease them into those exams beginning on the 7th?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing is parents kind of having a calm approach to it. So I think a lot of parents get extremely anxious and stressed. They kind of think the Leaving Cert is kind of the end all and be all, and that their kids need to do the best they can. And what I would say is try not to let your anxiety show through with your kids. That's the very first thing. Try to stay calm. Don't give them any stories of your own Leaving Cert. Please don't do that to them. That can be really, really negative. I would say as well, don't really speak to them unless you're spoken to. Like, have that clear thing. Honestly, just leave them alone. Literally try to read the room for them. Be there, offer them support. That's really, really important. And those really practical things, making sure they've water, that they're taking breaks, they get to the exam a half an hour in time, that they're cooking their favourite meals, that they're meeting their friends. I think that what a lot of parents do is they kind of say, you should be studying more. Why are you taking this amount of breaks? Why are you not? Like, why are you staying up and doing other things? It's so important for teenagers around this time to actually have social interactions and actually to be away from that study space as well. And I think we forget about that.
So to take a break is a good thing, instead of just cramming hours and hours and hours.
Absolutely. We can't do it because our concentration level doesn't allow us to. So what we have is we kind of have a rule for studying. If you're someone that has a kind of a shorter attention span, every 35 minutes you should take a 5-minute break. If you're someone that can maybe study for about an hour, you take a 10-minute break then, and you take that away from that study space. That's really important. You get up, you move, you hydrate yourself. And what I always say is, as well, is after those exams, when you get home, the parents should encourage them to do about 30 minutes of exercise or body movement. Really, really important.
Okay, yeah, that's very practical now for things like that. Motty, if you could solve everyone's sleep, I swear to God, would make you a Queen of Ireland. It would be amazing. But it is a big issue around junior and Leaving Cert because an awful lot of people, I think we were two of those people, we crammed the night before and we were like, forget sleep, let's just get through it, right?
Yeah, true.
That's the bad way to face into exams.
I think so. I think we should prioritize sleep because sleep plays a significant role in memory formation, to give you one example, and retention of information and decision-making skills, quicker reaction time, better ability to focus and concentrate on the task at hand. So we have a lot to gain by actually prioritizing our sleep and try not to cram, in the last few nights before the exams or during the exams as much as you can. A cram only if you haven't covered everything that you need to cover. But otherwise, try and focus on your sleep duration goes down getting closer to the exams and also during the exam times, which is kind of normal. There is a certain level of stress and anxiety. You take extra time to prepare for the exams, but do still prioritize your sleep. Make sure we have enough sleep opportunity. Instead of going to bed at 1 and trying to wake up at 6:30 and studying again, make sure we have adequate sleep opportunity. Because sleep happens in cycles and it has different stages. And each stage of sleep has its own functions. So you may have heard about REM sleep, the dream stage of sleep. We form a lot of procedural memory during REM sleep. So if you've been learning to do a specific task, which had so many steps, you're actually better off getting enough REM sleep to make sure that we are forming the memory regarding that task.
And we know REM sleep is so good for that, but leading into exam, it can be very stressful. People are struggling to get to sleep. They're lying there looking at the roof, wondering, stress. So have you any kind of structures, things that people should do to make sure to get themselves to that deep sleep?
Yeah, I think to simplify it, it's about getting the right balance between sleepiness and relaxation. We want to feel sleepy, we want to physically feel sleepy, but we also want a relaxed mind. And it's a combination of those two that results in a good night's sleep. So we have to make sure that we had enough wake period during the daytime, which wouldn't be a problem here because they will be staying awake longer to study anyway. So have a consistent wake time and a reasonably consistent bedtime. So consistent wake time is very important, but the bedtime can be reasonably consistent. So if you're not feeling sleepy at your regular bedtime, stay awake 15-20 minutes longer to feel sleepy. Your bedtime behavior should be guided by the sleepiness you feel closer to your bedtime. So if you go to bed at your regular bedtime of, let's say, for instance, 11 p.m.
What about put down phones, things like that as well?
Yeah. So there are two important factors that we should focus on, which is the wake period during the daytime. So with the consistent wake time and the bedtime, we can make sure that we had enough wake period, because that's when we are building up our sleepiness or the sleep drive. It's like feeling hungry for food. The longer you go without food, the hungrier you become. The longer you go without sleep, the sleepier you become. So make sure we have enough wake period during the daytime and reduce the light exposure for the last 2 hours, because that's when we start producing the sleep hormones like melatonin.
Yeah, this is like get into a blackout room because, of course, at the moment it is so bright. Like we're going to bed, trying to go to bed at 8, half 8, and you're like, hey, you just want to be up and going, you know?
Yeah, true.
But an awful lot of that is to do with, you know, your mind is racing when anxiety comes in. So these two things go hand in hand. Is there something there? Is there something there that you can do, Tara, to like if you're a student and you've got anxiety right now?
Absolutely. So one of the big things
to lull yourself,
one of the big things I would say is to access that soothing system, which is really, really important, because without accessing that soothing system, we actually can't reduce our anxiety. So some really practical things: breathing, mindfulness techniques, some visualization. One of my favorite in the moment skill for Leaving Cert students is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is a beautiful grounding technique. You can do it anywhere. So all you do is take a second, name 5 things you can see around you, which we all could do this moment. So if we look around, we can see 5 things.
Yeah.
The next thing is touch 4 different things. So 4 different texts. Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Consent.
Yeah. So we can do that. We can touch 4 different things. The next thing, we can close our eyes or look at it. And what we can do is 3 things that we can hear.
Okay.
So we can probably hear some air conditioning.
Yeah,
absolutely. The next thing we can do is 2 things that we can smell. So, for example, if you have a perfume on, if you have a spray on, they might be just a scent within the room itself. And the last thing is 1 thing that you can taste. So if you've just had a coffee or a cup of tea or something like that, you've brushed your teeth. And that is an amazing grounding technique. It activates all of our 5 senses, and it really reduces that anxiety in that moment.
And you can even do that in the exam hall as well.
Absolutely. And no one will even notice that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I use this skill all of the time. It's really, really great.
Breathe while you're doing it.
Yes. And lulling you to sleep as well.
Very interesting. Motty, you can just clear something up for me quickly as well. So sleeping with your notes underneath your pillow, did that work for the movies as well?
No, it doesn't. No, I don't.
Doesn't transfer.
But it would be useful to do.
Work for me either.
It would be useful to do some journaling sometime in the early evening. You know, just put your worries to bed, put your day to bed before you go to bed at night.
Absolutely.
So
clear your mind a bit.
Divide that into 3 parts: gratitude journaling. You know, just make a few notes about what are you happy about, what are you grateful for on that particular day. Make a to-do list for the next day. Make plans about things that you have to do the next day.
Sleep physiologist might be the thing that makes me start doing that. I'm like, okay, that's actually a good idea. Motty, Varghese and Dr. Tara Logan Buckley, who's a psychologist. Thank you both so much for being here today. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as always, we want to hear from you at home. So do you still have the Leaving Cert dreams or nightmares? I'm having a lot of them at the minute.
Yeah, just send us in your messages on You're very welcome back. Now we come outside for a super seafood special.
We really have. Alberto Rossi is going all fancy for us today. What are we having, Alberto?
We are doing lobster rolls this morning.
Oh, wow.
Very, very nice. I know it's a little bit messy in the way that, you know, there is lobster involved. So you can buy them already cooked.
Okay.
And taken care of. So all you have to do is just chop it.
They can come like
They can come like already with the tail and just already the claws, you know.
Okay.
Then you
So
chop them up.
Take all that out.
Exactly. Yes. You know, so there is no messing around. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna show how to make the Mary Rose sauce that goes with it.
Okay.
The which sauce?
The Mary Rose.
Mary Rose sauce.
Mary Rose is the pink sauce that comes with the prawn cocktail and all the fancy stuff.
So it's ketchup and mayonnaise together, but Alberto's going to make it look a lot nicer.
Of course.
Yes,
but, you know, we add a lot more. So
how many lobsters would that much
This
be?
was 2 lobster, and I would say it was about half a kilo lobster. You know, I think here lobsters are sorted in pounds, so we get like a kilo of lobster.
Yeah.
It's about 4 lobsters.
It's not cheap.
It's about 250. No, it's not cheap, but you know, like I buy it from for the restaurant, so it's about 32 euro per kilo. But when I go down in Wexford, I go down to the proper port that they have there, and there are all the little fishermen that come in from it, and I go there with my children and I buy them off them.
Brilliant.
You know, and then I do the grilled one, and then I do
also there is a conservation aspect to this as well.
Absolutely.
When the lobsters have a life and all that kind of stuff.
And they have to be like on the cage, you know, the pots cuts, you know.
Right, okay.
So at least there is sustainability.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with mayonnaise, okay? So this is just normal mayonnaise. You can even use the light mayonnaise, but don't go the extra light mayonnaise.
Why are you laughing,
How do you spell that now?
Mayonnaise.
Mayo.
Mayo.
There you go. Okay.
Alberto never changed.
No, I try not to, okay?
Fantastic.
So
Okay.
you have about 3-4 spoons of mayonnaise there, and then you can put either 1 or 2 of the ketchup, okay? Put 2, and then depends how you like it, okay?
Okay.
Now, you see, this is not as simple as you think, Tommy, because in the reality, you need to put in
Of course.
brandy.
What?
Oh, yeah, you put in a dash of brandy. Now, if you don't want to put
children
the
are
alcohol...
going to be eating this.
Well, you don't put... You drink some yourself
Okay.
then, you know? And then you also...
This would be good for the
orange
kids.
juice, okay?
Oh.
Orange juice, yeah, it keeps it nice and
Okay.
fresh. About, you know, the juice of half a half, so a quarter, okay? And this is already much better then, you know? And then you just mix it up.
I knew it couldn't be just ketchup
No,
and
no,
mayo
has to
together.
be-
So brandy, why brandy?
It just makes it tasty.
Just good,
I
just-
say that the chef that invented it wanted to take a sip and thank you very much. He said, where are you putting that? In the sauce. Instead, he was just drinking it. So it's much better. It gives off a nice...
The orange is going to be amazing with that, isn't it?
Absolutely. So then what we have here for the lobster roll mix, we have a little bit of iceberg lettuce. Okay, so you don't have to put all that much lobster. How is it? Is it balanced between the acidity and the sweetness?
It is absolutely. The orange juice and the brandy does make a gorgeous difference.
Because it's all about the balance. If it's too acidic, it ain't tasting well. So then you're putting in your lobster in there.
Okay.
Don't be shy. Then what I did, I chopped a little bit of spring onions. And then you have here some basil leaves. You can be all fancy and cut it, but I like to rip it.
Yeah.
The flavor all come out much better, you know? And if you do this with friends and family in the house, they're like, oh, what's the nice smell of basil?
Oh, I love that smell of basil.
And then
Fingers.
you add your sauce to it in this, okay? Don't put too much and don't put not enough. You want it to be nice and wet, okay?
Okay.
And then a little bit of lemon zest, okay? I have a fancy zester. It just keeps it.
What's that called? A planer? What are they called?
Oh, this is a microplane.
Microplane, yes, microplane.
You know, very fancy. And then if you want, you can even put a little bit of the
If you want to get one for the
orange
house, mate,
zest,
they're
you know?
the biz.
We have one.
Yeah, and they're cheap enough.
Very good.
And then you mix, okay? The best is you make the mix and then you put in the fridge maybe for an hour or 2.
Okay,
Because sometimes the lobster gets a little bit too warm.
Yeah, when you're
and
getting
it
ready,
doesn't
gotcha.
absorb the mayonnaise and it kind of splits, you know? You have the watery that you don't want.
I
okay?
have a new favourite Alberto word. It's not burn anymore, it's mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
I love it.
So then
I think my kids would eat this, which is good.
They will. And then you have butter rolls or brioche rolls that you can go buy. And then you just do a little fancy cut like this and you remove the top, okay?
So you don't cut and open.
Exactly. And then you
course
put
you
them in like this. You know, look at that. So you can see what you're eating and make it nice and fancy.
Everyone's talking about these inside.
Yeah, and then you look at the one that I made before.
Oh, look at this.
Okay. I make them even extra fancier. I put some flowers and some herbs and crisps. Oh, I did all that.
Oh, you did all that.
I had to keep myself busy this morning.
You
know?
gotta have something to eat.
Like that, yeah. And then you just put a little bit of extra herbs. And if you want, you can put some chilies on it if you want it to be spicy.
Right, come on, can we try?
But go ahead.
Yes.
This is such a great way
It
to
is.
serve them, though.
It looks fancy, but it's not that much extra work. You know, you put the crisps inside and everybody can share.
I love summertime.
I know, it's good.
Oh my God.
I love
Tell you,
the
I
food.
make these in Wexford where we go on holiday, and I grill the lobster, and then I use the claws and the knuckles
do you
to make
grill
this.
it?
Oh, I have a little bit, cut them in half and grill them like that. I know I shouldn't say, but
I
this
know.
is what we do. you know?
Amazing. Alberto Rossi,
No
that
problem.
is top notch.
Enjoy summer.
This is so good. Even for this sauce, if you're making burgers, make this
Absolutely,
sauce.
yes.
Do it with the brandy, do it with the orange. That is so good. Alberto, thank you so much. Now, after the break, the follow-up to the best Spider-Man movie ever made, ?
We're going to be reviewing this week's big movie releases while eating lobster rolls.
It's going to be amazing.
See you in a few minutes. Well, we've got some magnificent movie recommendations coming your way.
Yes, because that's exactly what we're thinking about doing this weekend, sitting inside in a dark room. And you know what? Sometimes we actually might.
You say that.
with
Some
the
people do
sunstroke.
that. Yeah.
Brian Lloyd from entertainment.ie. And I know you're like that. when I was a teenager, when it was great weather, I went to the cinema all the time.
Me too. With your hoodie on.
I was like, it's too warm.
Yeah, it's too much. Like sometimes you need like air conditioned kind of, you know.
Absolutely.
I agree. So we're going to start today.
Good movie to start.
And this is a follow-up to the first Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It was Into the Spider-Verse that did so well.
Yeah, so well. Like it won Best Animated Film at the Oscars that year. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. This is the follow-on to it. If you saw the first one, you know what you're kind of getting yourself in for. Like the art style of it is basically like a comic book film actually sprung to life.
Yeah.
So if you do see it in the cinema, it's really worth seeing it because the colours really stand out, the animation of it is really lucid, and also as well, like it's very, very funny. Like the fact that it is animated means that they can kind of be a bit more kind of playful with stuff. They can kind of take the mick out of itself, take the mick out of the fact that there's been, you know, however many Spider-Men there's been. Like, you know, like there was Tobey, you know what I mean? Like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
But which is what they did first in the first movie.
Yeah.
There were so many different Spider-Men, and then they did it in the Marvel actual...
Yeah, the live action one, when they brought them all back.
So what's this about? Miles was in the first one.
Yeah, Miles Morales plays Brooklyn Spider-Man. He's this young kid going to school. Very kind of similar to Peter Parker, but what's going on in this is that Gwen Stacy, who's voiced by Haley Steinfeld, she appears from the multiverse and is trying to kind of clean up the mess that happened in the first one. He then follows her to, I guess, the future, you would say, where they meet Oscar Isaac, who is also Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man 2099. I can see Tommy's just like, what? And then he's going to the future, and it's what? Like, don't think too hard about it. Like, honestly, because no, seriously, you'll give yourself a nosebleed trying to think too hard about this. Like, just kind of go with it, and you'll get it as you're watching.
We do have a clip of it as well. I know we're watching some shots of it there now, but shall we take? Let's take a little look.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man, and things are going great.
Oh yeah, you were supposed to be here at 5.
All right, whatever.
Whatever?
Wow.
Whatever?
So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian?
I am the Spot. That's not funny.
Don't do that.
Miles's grades are pretty good. A in AP Physics.
That's my little man.
And a B in Spanish.
What? Ooh, okay. Miles. Are you trying? Mira, eso es imposible.
I gotta go. All right, bye.
He's lying to you. And I think you know it.
I love that. As we're leading up to the junior and leaving cert, Miles Morales should not be getting a B in Spanish.
Come on, like, you shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, no, like I said, like, there's a great voice cast. Oscar Isaac, Haley Steinfeld, Jason Schwartzman plays the baddie there, the Spot. You know, Jake Johnson is back in as well. People know him from New Girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a great voice cast. Really, really worth the watch.
Okay. What out of 5?
4 out of 5. Oh. Really strong. No, really, really strong.
Better than the first one?
Nah, not as good because it's a little bit too long. It's like 2 hours and 20. Like, it's a little bit over long, and like the cliffhanger that it's left on is pretty sharp. But the first one is brilliant.
Still, 4 out of 5 is really good.
Definitely.
They're so worth it.
They are really, really worth watching. Yeah.
Let's move on to the Boogeyman.
Yeah, not as good. So this is based on a short story by Stephen King from the 70s. What's going on with this one is Chris Messina and his 2 daughters. One of them is in Yellow Jackets, Sophie Thatcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chris Messina's in it. I love Chris Messina.
Yeah, Chris Messina, from
the Mindy Project.
From the Mindy Project. And loads of other stuff as well. He was in, what was that one, Sharp Objects? He was in that as well.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Tell us about
Anyway, so he's a psychiatrist. His wife has recently passed. His 2 children are kind of trying to deal with all the grief and trauma of all that. Then this patient comes into his office and tells him about this evil monster called the Boogeyman that kind of lives in the shadows and has killed his children and has now kind of attached itself to the family. You've kind of seen this before. Like, I mean, there was Smile earlier this year. There was Barbarian. The kind of thing of, like, you know, using, like, mental anguish and then personifying it. And it's this monster that, like, attaches itself to you. And, like, the thing about the Boogeyman is that it's very, very generic. Like, even the title, the Boogeyman, is just not really terribly imaginative. Come on, like. And then the ending of it then, like, the whole, like, final act of it is just like Aliens, basically, where they find it and then they even have, like, a little flamethrower thing going on. Like, it's just, you've seen this film done before, done better, I think.
I think we have a clip of it as well.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a
look. It's a bit creepy.
When there are scary things we don't understand, our minds try to fill in the blanks. Sometimes the best thing to do is to face it. So this light is going to be completely solid like it is right now. Then gradually, it's going to start flashing until it's totally dark. So you can see that there's nothing to be afraid of. Okay? See? That's not so scary, is it? Just you, your sister, and me. You're doing okay. It's not real.
You were saying you have a nightlight like that.
I've got a nightlight.
Doesn't flash on and off, but maybe that's why the kids are waking up. Anyway, how are you going to rate The Boogeyman?
2 out of 5.
Okay.
It's not great. It's not worth a watch.
Okay. Not with Stephen King. Very quickly, we want to talk about reality.
Yes.
This stars Sydney Sweeney, who a lot of people know from Euphoria.
Euphoria, yeah. So this is based on the actual FBI transcript of the arrest of reality winner. She basically leaked this intelligence report 2 years ago about Russian interference. The entire script of the film is literally verbatim from the FBI transcript. So it's quite, I would say, a little bit odd. It's like 82 minutes long, but it's brilliant. Like, she is so good in this. She is fantastic. Like, she is such a really, really good actor. I mean,
She is.
Like, I know everyone kind of thinks of her, like, from Instagram and think, you know, like...
And all the stuff that's going on in Australia and everything.
Yeah, and all the rest of it, yeah, with your man. But, like, she's a really, really talented actor. And, like, when you watch this, you can see that it's not just all, like, facade. She actually does have a lot of, like, really good insight.
I like having a movie at 82 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. When you watch this, like, I mean, it's actually more scary than The Boogeyman. Like, it's this really kind of, like, tense psychological thriller. Like, she's just in this room with these 2 FBI agents being questioned the entire time.
Yeah.
And you would
She
think
thinks she's done something right for the world. Like,
exactly, yeah. But like, she's trying to kind of hide it back, and the way that she plays and all the rest of it, she's really, you can see every tick in her face, and just she's twitching and all the rest of it. It's way scarier than Boogeyman.
What are you giving it out of 5?
3.5 out of 5, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty. It's worth a watch.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Spider-Man's the one.
Yeah, that's the one, definitely. Yeah, if you're going to cinema this weekend.
Brian Lloyd from entertainment.ie, thank you so much for joining us today. Cheers.
Is it getting in your mouth?
A little bit. Yeah. I kind of, yeah.
Okay, gotta
We'll be
go.
back with you in Ireland Day very shortly. I love talking about it.
Hello, you're very welcome back to another busy hour here on Ireland AM. Now, he is the A-list hairstylist famed for shaping some of the most ear-defining looks for the likes of Kate Moss, to Lady Gaga, to Princess Di. You name it, this man has worked with them. Sam McKnight, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have you in talking all things hair this morning. You're here in Ireland and it's all been pretty busy for you.
It's been pretty busy. It was really busy yesterday. We worked with lovely Olivia yesterday too, and here she is again.
Well, Olivia, thank you very much for coming in again this morning. We're going to be doing your hair up again. Maybe do my hair as well?
A push, yeah.
Probably
Go
not.
on.
Okay, we're going to be talking to Sam very shortly, and of course, Olivia's hair is going to be done later in the show. In fashion, Myrne is outside for a look at some casual wear, Myrne.
They moved me outside because they knew I'd be like, Sam McKnight, do my hair. They're like, keep her away from him, my God. Now we are doing fashion outside on the grass. Stylist Rob Condon. Are we going to be able to handle fashion on the grass? It's crazy. What are we doing later on?
We are taking a look at weekend wear. So if you're heading away this weekend, or maybe you're heading for brunch with the girls, or even to Bloom, we have the perfect outfits to have you stylish from thecasualcompany.ie.
Look at you, I can be wearing it to Bloom on Monday,
You could.
can I?
All casual, and we're all about flats this morning as well.
Okay, Ava, you look very comfy, to be fair. It's a big giant. We're looking forward to that in just a little while. Thank you.
She's been our weather saviour for many years, and yesterday, Evelyn Cusack announced her retirement from Met Éireann.
And over the years, we have annoyed her so much on Virgin Media and TV3 going, Evelyn, there's something going on in the weather. Any chance you'll come on? And she's like, yeah, okay, grand. We couldn't let her finish up without one last catch-up and weather update. Hello, Evelyn. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. Thanks so much for having me on this beautiful summer's day. First day of summer, 1st of June.
Oh, look, she's getting it all in there now. She's doing that. So today's the first day of summer. It wasn't in May. How are you? How are you feeling? I don't know what we're going to do without you on our screens.
Listen, we have a great bunch of people now in Met Éireann, so don't be a stranger. Get them all in. They're all fantastic. So, no, I'm fine, actually. I was just trying to clear out my office yesterday evening. I was in till about 10 o'clock because I've accumulated so much interesting things, like lots of letters from kids giving store names. Quite nostalgic, actually.
Oh, I'd say it was amazing as well. And did you decide to save the retirement for having the hottest day of the year? That must have been planned.
Well, Tommy, I planned this a year ago. So I have a countdown calendar on my phone, and so I had 366 days to go. So it's now reading 0. Look, I picked the 1st of June because, you know, I still remember that far back when you were in school and looking forward to summer. So I just said go for it, because at least I'll have the summer then, holidays, and I just won't go back in September. So that's my plan. Sorry, I'm moving around the camera here as usual.
Yeah, it looks like you're in the middle of an earthquake there at the moment.
Sorry, that's me. That's me.
Evelyn, we all know, like Gerald Fleming, when he retired, he went off and he started doing way more stuff with European climatologists and meteorologists. Are you actually going to retire and have a great time, or are you off doing loads of other stuff?
No, I'm not going to become a meteorological commentary, a part of the meteorological commentary yet. Look, I'll leave that to Met Éireann. And can I just get a plug in here? You're going to kill me. The Met Éireann app and website is the #1 weather provider in Ireland. So I'll happily leave that to Met Éireann. And look, today, please, we're launching our new summer centre, which is a good sign, and also mountains forecasts and also surfing forecasts. So we're all set for summer in Met Éireann.
Fantastic, Evelyn. And
Never stops.
It's amazing. Looking forward to watching Met Éireann's involvement in the next weather revolution of artificial intelligence.
Well, no, that's going to be terrible.
My goodness.
What's the retirement
I'm
party?
gonna miss that.
What's the
I'm gonna
retirement
miss that.
party looking at like? You know, Tubbs had his last week from the Late Late. What are you doing?
Well, actually, we had it in Met Éireann, myself and my dear colleague Columba Kramer retired after 45 years. So we had everybody from Met Éireann came, and do you know, we booked it in January, and it was a beautiful summer's night last Friday. So I know I keep saying there's no such thing as a long-term forecast, but we did well anyway. We had a great time, and see all the old retirees, which I'll be after 4 o'clock today. I'm going to join their ranks.
Well, listen, Evelyn, it's been absolute pleasure every time you've come on to speak to us. You've always been up for such a laugh as well.
You've been so kind. Yep.
We wish you all the very best in retirement.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you two guys and your careers and everybody there in Virgin Media. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're very
Evelyn.
good. Look
Thank
at
you
that.
so much.
Sun
I thought she was saying good luck to you two now when you take off. I was like, what's happening?
Good luck lasting as long as you did. We wish Evelyn
she's been
absolute
fantastic.
Star.
Absolutely lovely woman.
Now, coming up next, he is one of the world's leading hairstylists who has worked.
Can I put a cap on?
It's incredible.
Can I
Worked with the
hide
likes
it?
of Princess Diana, Madonna, you name it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Sam McKnight after the break. I'm hiding my hair. We'll talk to you shortly.
You're very welcome back. Well, our next guest was the original session hairstylist, working from everyone to the likes Kate Moss all the way to Princess Diana.
And now he has to sit here beside us. What has happened to his career? Sam
sacrificed a
McKnight.
lot.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, it's all gone downhill.
I was just about to, we're sitting there going,
sorry.
he actually did Kate Moss's hair recently, and now he's sitting
But the
on
Met
the couch.
Gala.
The Met Gala.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Wow.
some career, Sam, and it all started. Your dad was a coal miner.
I'm from a coal mining village in the west of Scotland, in Ayrshire, in the Ayrshire Hills. Yeah.
And then how did all of this happen? Because you always hear these stories. A lot of the time, we talk about Nepo babies these days who get foots up in the industry because of who they know. That's clearly not what happened with
That's
you.
not my past.
No.
I went to teacher training college, which I absolutely hated. And we didn't have any money. And all my mates I went to school with were all working. And I was at college not having any money. So I used to do odd jobs like window cleaning. I worked in a sock factory. I helped my friends who had a hairdressing salon. I drove the van. And I started working for them on a Saturday, and very quickly thought, oh, this is pretty good, and there I started off. Yeah.
So you have worked with just every name out there. I mean, even thinking back to the late Princess Diana, Cindy Crawford, Kate Moss. Somebody must have given you a chance at the start. Who gave you that opportunity to really establish yourself?
I worked in a salon in London in the mid-70s called Molton Brown, which everyone knows as hand wash now. But at that time, it was the coolest hairdresser salon in the world. It was amazing. And they used to do all the hair for Vogue magazine. So I was sent out. Somebody was ill. It's always the way, isn't it? So you fill in. And I was sent out absolutely petrified. And I must have done something well, because I've been working for them. I'm now a contributing editor. I've been working with them for, I want to say, nearly 50 years.
With Vogue?
Yeah.
With Vogue magazine for 50 years?
Yeah.
Like you and Anna Wintour?
I did the hair for Anna's first Vogue cover in the States, and for her first American Vogue cover. And I'd worked with Anna for many years before she was at Vogue.
Yeah.
I've been around a long time.
So when you're nervous with that, is it because I come from a sport back, when you're nervous, that brings out the best in you? Do you still find that with hair, or do you not?
I don't get so nervous. I think there's always that little bit of slightly imposter syndrome. That little bit, well, what am I doing here? So not always, but it's fine. I don't think it's a negative. You turn the negatives into a positive, don't you?
Well, it's
everyone's from somewhere else. You realise quickly, you know.
And it's nice to be able to go, this can be an industry, regardless of what the industry is, that's open to everyone and based on merit.
Oh, God, it really is. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can do it, really.
There is a lot of talent involved in this, but there's
a lot of good timing and luck. Luck that somebody was ill that day on the first shoot, not for them, but for me, and good timing, because it was at a time when before me, a lot of photo shoots went on with the models doing their own hair and makeup. And it was a 1970s thing where hairdressers were on every shoot. Before that, it was, a lot of models. I did an interview with Twiggy the other day, and Twiggy used to do her own makeup and her own hair.
Yeah. And the fact she was able to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. That with Tina Turner, she just went out, did it
all.
She
did it, yeah.
When you started working, and then you started working with Vogue, obviously, because of Molton Brown, and you edge your way into this industry. Then you start working with what we now term the supermodels.
Yeah.
You know, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista, Kate Moss.
All of the above. And Helena Christensen, who I actually saw last week, which is a joy, you know, 30 years later. Worked with her last week in Cannes. But the thing is then, there were 15, 16-year-old schoolgirls coming to have a test shot done. Wow. And so that's... we kind of grew up together. I'm a little bit older than them, but we built the business together. We kind of we were all in it from the beginning.
Representing Scotland there,
with their
love
lovely
with the
kilts.
tartan.
Well, it's all back now in TikTok. So, you know, all the hair that you were creating in the 90s, that big supermodel look. And it's all back now. You're seeing it. Must
the
be
90s is a big thing again.
Huge thing again.
We've been through the 80s. We'll be the 2000s next.
At some stage, yeah. It must be great to be like, I've created iconic looks.
It's nice, but you kind of don't want to do it again. You want to move on. You want to make it different somehow.
Okay.
But retro is it's always there, isn't it? It's kind of almost become a thing. People are looking at the past for inspiration.
And you worked with the late Princess Diana.
I did, yeah.
Are you the person who cut her hair short?
I did, yes.
How did that happen? I'm sure that took a bit of convincing.
No. We were on a shoot, and we were doing a few young royal ladies for Vogue, and we didn't really know who was going to come in, who was going to be there, and she came bounding up the stairs at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She was the last one, and charmed us all immediately because she was really wonderful. And I'd made her hair look short. I'd kind of faked it and made it look short for the picture. It's a famous image with a sort of strapless dress. Looks like she's wearing a sheet sitting on the floor with a tiara. Well, I'd made her hair look short for that. Because it was 1990, we were moving away from the big sort of frou 80s. And at the end of that, she said, what would you do with my hair if I said, just do what you like? And I said, I'd just cut it all off and start again. Because we were going into this sort of power suit, Linda Evangelista, short hair, 90s vibe. And she just said, OK, let's do it. And I did it. Wow. And then I spent the next 7 years working with her.
With her?
Yeah.
Till 1997?
Till 97,
But cutting that hair, I mean, that's big. That's a bold
But I didn't
move.
realise at the time she was just a nice lady. And I'd been spending most of my time in New York. And I wasn't really in London that much. I wasn't aware of her, you know, the extent of her fame. I wasn't, she was just a nice lady who wanted a haircut.
And let's be honest, she wouldn't care if she went home to her husband and he didn't like it. You know what I mean? That's fine. She was like, I don't care.
Oh, well, that's another story, isn't it?
Another story. What a time. I'm sure you've got so many fabulous stories. You're in Ireland. You've got something to tell us about. We could have hair like Princess Diana, maybe. You got a few wigs.
No, I don't have any wigs. No. I have a few hair products which are now available in... I have a lot of wigs, which I often wear on my Instagram posts, but my products are now for sale in Brown Thomas. So we've been here doing a lot of press.
You had a busy
we had
day
a
yesterday.
big day yesterday, and I'm actually... It's been absolutely fantastic. The response has been amazing. We had 2 wonderful audiences yesterday, so it's been a joy.
How do you find that going out? Because hair products have taken on a life of their own.
Yeah.
Like it's as important for skincare now for
an
awful lot of people.
It is.
So when you're putting yourself out there like that and you got to back it up, you're like, well, I've been fairly good in the industry, right?
Well, I in my career, I have advised and created lots of products for big brands, and I thought, during the pandemic, I thought, OK, this is time for me. It's enough of giving other people my ideas. And so we expanded our small range. And it's been an upward trend ever since. It's been amazing. The response has been amazing. They're all formulated by myself and my team. Nothing's bought off the shelf, from the fragrance to the packaging to the ingredients to what they actually do. They're really easy to use. I'm simplifying everything. Does what it says on the tin. There you go.
You're into the art of hairdressing. Do you enjoy the business side of it as well?
Well, we now employ someone to run the business side of it, but I'm very hands-on.
Yeah, of course.
I'm very, very involved in everything.
Well, we put your name to it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I keep saying. It's my name on the tin.
Will we see you using some Hair by Sam McKnight products in just a little while?
You certainly will in a few minutes.
You're going to show us what
I'm
it is
gonna
that
show
you can do.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me what to use on my
and I'm
hair.
going to keep it simple.
Going to have a private consultation.
Wow,
That's what we're actually
look
going to
at
do.
this.
Sam, it's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely fabulous.
We're going to catch up with you again at 9:45. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
The long weekend is almost here. You can almost taste it. Well, I can taste the barbecue because I've had one every day this week. But the summer cocktails.
Yes, joining us now to help match your wardrobe with your bank holiday plans, Rob Condon. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
Good. Yes, we are taking a look at the perfect looks for the bank holiday weekend. So whether you're heading away, whether you're heading for brunch with the girls or to Bloom this weekend, we have the perfect looks from jumpsuits to dresses.
Airy.
Yes.
Mind the chafing. Yeah? We're going to do something like that. Okay.
Plenty of breathable options.
Good.
Ava's up first, and this is a really casual, chic and contemporary look. It is a jumpsuit, but it's kind of got that dungarees appeal to it. It's a cotton material, a really great piece to add to your summer wardrobe. All of the looks are available from casualcompany.ie, so they're all Irish design but made in Italy. You can see the pocket detailing to it as well. It's got quite a slouchy appeal to it, but still really fitted at the same time, so it's a great fit. Underneath it, we've gone with a simple white tee with this, so it's a round neck. It's quite a structured white tee, so go with a structured white t-shirt underneath it, or definitely you could change it up with a different colour.
Yeah.
The jumpsuit is also available in a khaki, a black, and a few different prints as well. So if the navy's not for you, you can definitely change it up.
And in lots of sizes.
And it's available up to size 18.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah,
and
so lots of
sandals
sizes. And then with the sandals, we have gone with a crossover. You can see the gold detail into these sandals. A really great pair of sandals to add with this, or even with a maxi dress or any white jeans this summer. A perfect piece to have in your wardrobe.
Lovely.
Nice.
Definitely, if you wanted to go a little bit more casual with it, throw a pair of trainers with it, it's going to work as well. And then even like an oversized knitwear, if it's a little bit chilly, could go really cool with this.
Lovely, showing off our scorched earth there beautifully.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Underneath there, we have more.
Kira's up next.
Yeah, Kira is with us next, and we're sticking with jumpsuits, but we've gone with leopard print with this. A really statement print. We see leopard print each each season, and it's definitely not going anywhere. First off, we've got the glasses, so they're really oversized sunglasses, but with this jumpsuit from the casualcompany.ie, V neckline to it. Now, Kira is 5'11", so the lengthwise you will get, if you're a little bit smaller, you're going to get more length to it. Really 70s revival jumpsuit. You can see the V neckline to it, pockets as well, and then sleeve on this. Also,
it's handy, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. And it always gives a little bit of a better shape as well. And all of the outfits this morning do have pockets. As well, with this print, if it's a little bit too much, you could break it up a little bit by going with a belt in the middle. So you go with like a black belt. You could even bring a little bit of colour to it, burgundy on the waist. But you can see really great shape to those 70s style trousers.
And with the 70s, you've gone with the massive glasses.
Yes, we've gone with the massive oversized sunglasses here at €16. Really statement piece to add to your wardrobe. But I think with this as well, throw it with a pair of trainers, sandals, but if you want to go with a heel with this, you can. You could go with like a long cardigan over it, belt it in, and it's going to work.
And you've gone sandals today.
Yes, we've gone with another pair of flat sandals. They're like a metallic gold T-bar sandal there that are going to go with lots of different things.
Thank you, Kira.
Your wardrobe. From jumpsuits, we're moving on to dresses now with our next look here on Sarah. So we've gone with bold block brights with this royal blue dress. This is a great dress for holidays or any events that you might have coming up. But what I love about it is you can take it from casual to dressy.
Yeah, okay.
Again, we've got pockets with this. You can see there's a slight V neckline to it, €42. Sheer kind of sleeve to that, and then it comes in there, and you can see the A-line skirt to it. Great length to this dress. Lots you're going to be able to do with this. Again, if you want to break that up with a belt, you can do that. And accessories, you can go with kind of earrings like this, statement pair.
With that sort of royal cobalt blue, which is very this year, the silver does make it pop a lot.
It definitely does. It makes it pop. But also with this, if you wanted to bring it to your occasion wear wardrobe, you could put a blazer over the shoulder. A white crisp blazer would look great with this also. Or if you want to make it really casual, throw a denim jacket with it. Even a denim shirt over this and tie it at the waist would work really well.
I went a little bit too fast there. So the earrings are silver. Sorry, that's my bad. That's
too excited about the earrings. Then we've got the earrings. So they're a layered earrings. You can see there's 3 layers to the hoop on them. But with these sandals, they're a silver slip-on sandal. I really like these because I think they go great.
You don't want to show the earrings.
No, they don't.
What is it? Can we show the earrings?
Show us the earrings.
Come on, Pete, here we go. You can do it.
Going in.
We've got them, yay! These are great pair of earrings that Maren's loving this morning. You can see they're a layered earrings. They're a hoop, 90s style hoop. They're a medium size. A really great pair there of earrings.
Absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah. You have been a goddess as we waited to see those earrings. Ava is back with look number 4.
Ava is back with us here in another great look from casualcompany.ie. A really great kind of oversized dress. This is perfect for summer. It's really breathable. Perfect for any garden parties, barbecues you might have coming up. I love the base to this dress, and it's a floral print, but it's quite a classic print to it as well. It's not too much. Really nice piece. You can see it's kind of prairie style to the end with this dress. Lots of movement to it as well. There's pockets to it, 3/4 length sleeve as well. You've got that boat neckline to it, but I think it's going to work perfect.
If you're
for
heading to
summer.
the beach, you know when you're doing the shimmy shake because you're trying to have the towel here and get
Exactly.
everything down, or if you're going nudity.
not.
That's great to just lash on.
Exactly, it is. It's really oversized. And as well, if you wanted to go with it a little bit more fitted with it, belted in the middle, leather jacket over the shoulders, and it's going to work. It's also a piece I think you could bring into each season. As we get into, say, next season, you could throw it with boots, leather jacket, black belt, and it's going to work. But for keeping in with today's weather, we're going with the sandals here. So really great pair of sandals. You've got the 2 straps to them there. They're taupe and a faux suede. They're going to go with lots of different things in your wardrobe.
Fabulous. Is there an earring, dare I ask?
There is an earring. We're moving up to that now. So yeah, we've gone then with the gold earring here. So they're a hammered gold leaf motif earring. And just a really simple piece to add to this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ava. Lovely looks this morning.
Yeah, and they're all available from the casualcompany.ie.
Rob Condon,
There you have
hope
it.
you have a lovely bank holiday weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the
Cheers.
sunshine, Rob.
Yes, indeed. Now, coming up next, he's got the tongs on standby. We are getting a hair masterclass from celebrity stylist
She's so excited.
Sam McKnight. He's going to do something to my hair. Talk to you in a minute. Bye. Hello, we are back with one of the world's most celebrated hairstylists, Sam McKnight, who's showing us a wavy look that's, well, we're going to be doing kind of an upstyle. We're going to mix it up, aren't we?
I'm going to show you how to get quick changes in your hair for summer.
Well, let's talk first, because this is kind of what the look that Kate Moss likes.
It is.
Thank you. Olivia's here with us this morning.
Olivia has been great. She's got great hair. So what I've done is I've given it a really loose wave with a flat iron.
Okay.
There's very many different techniques of waving. You can use a curling iron. You can twist it around, which I like to do in front of the face, like
so.
Like so, away from the face, gently.
Yeah.
Or you can use a flat iron, and you can just S-bend it through like that. And that will give you a nice wave.
Which one do you prefer?
They're different. You know, if you really want it to go off your face, the curl. If you want it to be flat around your face, use the flat iron.
And then for the products to create that, because you want to keep that.
If you want to keep that, and if you want to even make it a bit messier, it's about my Cool Girl spray, which I created with the ultimate Cool Girl, Kate Moss, in mind, because Kate's got quite fine hair, and it was getting a product that was dry, instant, that just takes seconds.
It smells really good.
To get some volume and texture in there. And that's like a few seconds. Now, the fragrance is our own fragrance that we created with Lynn Harris, the perfumer, and it's divine. It's been a big hit for us.
I
thought that was really important because people love to smell a nice hair product, right?
I'm not joking. That is actually really
It's
lovely.
good, isn't it?
Yeah, that does not smell lovely.
It's good.
Like Olivia just had that sprayed all over her face. She's like, I'm okay.
We're very proud of that.
Now,
but that gives you a nice volume as well.
Yeah, what do you want to do next? Because you're oh God, that's great.
Also, to
Olivia's checking herself out.
Bit of versatility.
Yeah.
I always say that every woman has at least 4 looks in them. Probably 2 that she uses from time to time and another 2 that she hadn't thought of. And that could be a matter of changing your middle part to a side part.
Yeah.
Which will work with just a few blasts of hairspray. Now, all my products, we call them brush-outable. So they're not going to be so sticky.
So it doesn't feel, because that sort of sticky hairspray is done. It's had its day, hasn't it? Where it looks really
That's the 80s. And,
yeah.
And boy, do we remember the 80s. And we've called ours modern hairspray because it's a modern formulation. Now, the side part already changes Olivia's face.
Completely.
Dramatically, you know. You get that kind of sexy 70s whoosh there. Nearly did it the other way, looking in the camera. And a nice, soft bristle brush to brush that through.
Okay.
Bristle brush. And you can use as much as you like, because you can brush it out.
Okay. And these are, I'm going to big up the products as well. You're doing recyclable.
It's all recycled plastic, and it's recyclable. These are aluminium cans.
Yeah.
We're trying our best. We are trying our best. We are looking at new packaging all the time.
Because it is important to a brand.
Isn't it? We have these amazing things called cleanse cloths, which are, lets you have some wispy bits around here, you get moisturiser on them. The cleanse cloths are, just wipe it along there, take it off, and they're totally biodegradable.
Oh, great.
I put them in my compost and they're gone in 6 weeks.
Okay, that's lovely.
They're made from tree pulp cellulose.
Fair play. That's another thing that you can do there. Okay, so this is going to be the second hairstyle for Olivia.
So a little hairspray to change the parts.
Yeah. And it's completely sticking. And it's soft. Do you mind me touching it?
And it's soft.
It's soft. It doesn't have that real hard thing that's going on.
It's not crunchy. I can brush it.
Yeah.
Here we go. I can't remember where I put it. Where I put the blooming thing.
Oh, no.
I'm all right, a bit more. How are we doing for time?
We've got about 2 minutes.
Okay.
How important is it, Sam? Come here, because I know I forget a lot in the morning, and I've ruined the front of my hair. Protector.
Protector is really important. There's a heat protector in our hairspray, and so if you put the hairspray on, you can actually blow dry your hair afterwards. And the brush will go through it. It will keep it really smooth and shiny. And there is a heat protector there. Now, should we turn you around sideways? You can see that.
There you go. You can see it there.
And we have a lovely balm called Happy Endings.
Yeah.
No comment. And we're just gonna. It's a nourishing balm, so it's give the sort of dry ends a little bit of texture.
Yes.
And what I would do, I twist it up, split it in two. That's like speed styling. You got one of those long pins?
This is speed styling.
Thank you. And my lovely assistant.
But even fabulous.
Olivia.
Even fabulous, like, supermodels, they get dry hair as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, the supermodels have the worst hair ever. Because
of all the styling.
Because I'm doing this 6 times a day, changing the look.
They just have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all you can do is do the product.
Absolutely. And it's if you've got a lot of hair, or you've got sort of really long hair, it's really good to split the ponytail in two and twist it round each other so that it takes a lot of the volume out. And you can just shape that into wherever you want it to be.
A sleek hairstyle for the bank holiday weekend where we're going to have fabulous, fabulous weather. These are all available in Brown Thomas. Hair by Sam McKnight.
They are indeed.
And fair play to you for coming over and looking at all our hair with clinical precision, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Olivia. You look absolutely gorgeous there. Now, Tommy, he didn't come into studio. What's he up to? Lads, he's found some... Look at him. You got a blooming ice cream. Aren't you delighted?
Look at how happy I am. Do you know, watching Sam this morning there makes me think I want to grow my own hair. But before we go, I want to thank Teddy's. John and Jasmine are here. They've given me a great ice cream with a lovely flake in it as well, of course, from Teddy's in Dunleary. Getting us ready for the bank holiday weekend. Coming up on tomorrow's show, star of stage and screen Norma Sheehan is going to be here. Plus, well, it was the WAG trial of the century, and now it's a stage drama. The stars of Varghese versus Rooney are going to be dropping by. So Martin, Paul and Katia are going to be back from 7 tomorrow morning. Guys, have we any topping maybe to go on top of this? Maybe a bit of strawberry sauce or something? What have we got? Yeah. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Warren, I'm going to get you sorted there. We'll have one more
the actual
ready.
Cheek. Can we get the 99? Seriously, will you get me a 99?
Honestly.
He's not going to do it. Sam wants one too.
Sam,
and
okay.
Olivia.
Listen, I'll bring in the orders. I'll get them all sorted, guys. Thank you very much. Right. Have a good weekend. See ya.